So if you can, obviously you'd like to have a seat that has a little more space, and now they're starting to charge a premium for seats, shall we say, at window exits that have more legroom. So I think the seat is the same. Where they place it is pretty much a marketing thing for an individual airline.
Yeah, I know that for me, I am really broad of chest. So, for me, I'm never comfortable. It just never, ever happens. I feel like I'm continually scrunched up that I swear they designed the airline seats for like Ethiopians.
Well, you'd probably enjoy then a window seat, which at least has the curvature of the fuselage, the body of the plane, to give you a little more shoulder room, and you can lean away a little bit from your middle seat neighbor.
Mm-hmm. You think we're going to get to the point where they start weighing you before you actually get on a plane and start charging you by the pound?
They used to do that, of course.
Did they really?
Sure. In the very early days of flying in the 30s, people stepped on scales.
I never knew that.
People in light airplanes, where it's much more crucial how much the airplane weighs, we will ask our passengers, how much do you weigh? And put their bags on a scale. I don't think they'll get to it right now. They have an average weight for passengers, and interestingly enough, over the years I've been flying, it's gone up about 10, 12 pounds. Mm-hmm. There's also a summer weight and a winter weight, because, of course, in wintertime they figure people have coats and more clothing. But they've already upped you, I'm sure. I mean, when people tell me I weigh 170 pounds, I say, no, not quite. And they say standard passenger, and I think that's actually gone up now to about 175 or so.
Which makes it, well, if food keeps getting more expensive, maybe you'll see the weight of airline passengers go down.
Well,
it'll just be a matter of time.
That's one of the things I recommend to people is because the food and a lot of airlines, except mine, are starting to charge for food, that's something you can do to save some money, and that's bring snacks that you like and don't depend on the airline's food to keep you alive.
I've never understood the concept of airlines giving out the peanuts, given the fact that you're there in an area where you start swelling in the first place, and so what do they give you? They give you peanuts with lots of salt.
Right. Well, who knows? Probably an inexpensive filling snack is what they thought, but I'm afraid you're going to see some of those go away as well.
They're getting rid of all this stuff. It's literally going to be pay for anything in particular that you want. Are they going to start charging for the pay toilet inside the plane? Will that be the next step?
Oh, we all keep joking about that. Hopefully no, and I'm thinking that they're going to have to moderate what they do. There are certain things you obviously have to provide. The seatbelt has to be there, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. Captain Karen Kahn, by the way, on the program here, and her book, FlightGuideForSuccess.com. Actually, that's her website, but the book is Flight Guide for Success if you wanted to enter this. So, back to the challenges. When you fly, what are some of the tips that you do? Now, I don't know if you are given kind of like a special treatment by all the airlines that you might fly on. Of course, on Continental, maybe they treat you really well because it's your own, right? But what tips would you give to a regular schlub out there to make it easier?
I think the first one is going to be, there's really three of them. There's Go Electronic, there's Go Light, and there's Go Early. The electronic starts with booking your ticket on the web electronically and as early as you can book it because the fares change dramatically as you get closer to your travel date. Then be sure you check in online and print out your boarding pass so you have that piece of paper. Matter of fact, you might even print two of them just in case you misplace one.
Talk one away, sure.
The electronic so aids you in getting to the better things in life, shall we say, at airlines, just because their whole system is now computer-based. The Go Light is a lot of it's common sense. As you're packing, think about what you really need, and these days, as they start charging for that extra bag or the first one, depending on the airline, it's real important to ask yourself, do I really need that? The Go Light is, I think, the most helpful thing. If you don't have to check a bag, you don't have to deal with all of the lines that are involved and all of the picking up of the bags on the other end and the possibility of losing it. If you carry it, you've got it.
Now, Captain Kahn, you as a airline pilot, as the captain, as the head of the whole shebang, you ever want to strangle a passenger when they bring something in and try to just shove it in that upper, the overhead bin that really doesn't belong there?
Oh, yes. Many times we have seen things, and we will actually have people ask, the flight attendants will say, gee, we've got this really odd-sized whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Is there any possibility that we can actually carry this? And I will take a look at it. For the most part, though, most people these days are fairly savvy. You know, there are some things we see a lot of wedding dresses. It's the wedding season, and understandably people don't want to do anything but lay that out long and flat. Most of the airplanes these days do not have closets in the coach class, and if you're in first class, the closet space is limited. So a lot of it, once again, is thinking about what you've got. If it's something that has to stay in a certain configuration, you probably want to send it ahead by, a different means.
Yeah, maybe you actually just ship the wedding dress rather than trying to lay it out flat, because it's not going to happen in the overhead bin, huh?
Exactly, and you'd hate to have anything happen to it. We have had some strange things. On the other hand, the other day somebody had a bouquet of flowers, and they were hoping to take it. I think it was Mother's Day, and there's a case where I know we'll go to any lengths to try to help people with reasonable things. A lot of it is trying to stuff, of course, 20 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound bag, and each person basically has a certain amount of space allotted to them, so we really ask that they respect that, and if you fill the overhead with one piece that you're allowed, then you want to put the other piece under the seat in front of you. And remember, that space is not real big, so it's got to leave some aisleway for you to get out of there in case there's an emergency.
Think the day will come when airlines will take back control of security? Because I tell you, I think security is the worst part why so many people say they don't like flying.
Well, security, I know one of the things that we have found in the smaller communities, the security at the airports is tougher, and it's designed that way. The TSA has, reasoned that's what's important. But the other thing is, if you can start at a smaller city, for the most part, you'll find the lines are shorter, the people friendlier, and that go early and that go light and go electronic is a big help.
That's a big advantage here in Medford because security, relatively speaking, it is a big difference between security in Medford and the way you're treated by the Stasi over in Chicago. My gosh, I've never been around such rude people.
Exactly. And speaking of the TSA, let me recommend a couple of things there. Buy your ticket in a smart manner. So my 3 tips for TSA is ticket smart, pack smart, and dress smart. And the ticket smart means when you buy your ticket, do a round-trip ticket because people get extra screening who buy one-way tickets. Don't pay cash for your ticket. People who pay cash for their ticket, if they were to buy it at the airport, should we say, get extra screening. And that's what I mean when I say ticket smart.
Yeah, that's an irritant, but that is the reality of the situation. Final question I had for you: with your almost 31 years of being a commercial airline pilot, what's your favorite plane to fly?
I really like the Boeing 757-300, the extra long one, which I actually fly now between Houston and Los Angeles. It handles well. It's a responsive airplane. It's got plenty of, should we say, facilities, and that's probably my favorite.
Now, is that the one that I flew from Denver to Cleveland on Continental? Was that the one, or was it Denver? I don't know.
If you went from
Phoenix.
Denver, you probably went. They're fairly long range. They're quite a lot of passengers, but they are comfortable, and the air conditioning works well.
Was that the 3 and 3 configuration?
Yeah, Boeing is always 3 and 3. So you're back again to Boeing.
All right. See, I got to tell you, that's the one thing I'll start to say, though. I swear that our little commuter airlines coming here out of Medford, even though the planes are louder, in some cases they're more comfortable because they got 2 seats. You can just sit with somebody else. You're not having to sit there and elbow somebody else next to you.
Exactly. Well, there you've just gave us the reason in order to use your local airport. The security's easier, it's more comfortable, and you will be much happier if you can get into the system. Don't drive. We all know what the price of fuel is these days.
Even with the expense of the airline tickets, it's still a deal by comparison.
It really is.
For most of the, especially long trips when I go back to see Dad and everybody else. Captain Karen Kahn, thank you so much for coming on this morning. I know that there's going to be a pilot shortage despite the problems you may hear about in the aviation industry. And you can find out more. Pick up a copy of her book, Flight Guide for Success, Tips and Tactics for the Aspiring Airline Pilot. And, of course, you also help aspiring passengers, too. FlightGuideForSuccess.com. I thank you for coming on this morning.
You're so welcome, Bill. Thanks again.
Do take care.